Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into just one really quite dramatic piece of source material. It's the parable of the great banquet.
Mm-hmm. That's in Luke chapter 14, verses 15 through 24.
And the setting is just, well, it's everything, isn't it? Jesus is at a dinner party. He's reclining at the table, probably with some, local VIPs.
Right, and there's this sort of high-minded religious chat going on.
Yeah, and one guest says something quite pious, like, oh, how wonderful it must be to eat bread in the kingdom of God.
And bam, Jesus just pivots instantly, tells this story about a host, a massive dinner party.
Yeah.
And it all goes wrong, spectacularly wrong.
Yeah. Spectacularly is the word.
And that's really our mission for this deep dive. We're going to dissect the sheer escalation in this story. We're not just looking at the words. We're digging into the kind of the economic and social rules that this parable just smashes. Why does this generous host get so incredibly angry over three, let's face it, pretty simple excuses?
Yeah, they seem simple.
And what about that final command? That really dramatic bit about having to compel people to come in? What does that actually mean?
It's intense.
It is. It's basically a high-stakes lesson in, well, priorities.
Okay, so let's start with the invitation itself. We've got this wealthy man. He's preparing a huge feast, like a great banquet, the text says, not just snacks.
No, definitely not. He sends out the first round of invites, which was, standard practice back then. Get a head count, essentially.
But the key moment, the real crunch time, is when the food's actually on the table, ready to go.
Exactly. The servant is sent out with that final urgent message, come, for everything is now ready.
Everything's ready. The host is all in. He's committed.
And that timing, as you said, it's just crucial in that culture, sending out the servant to say, it's ready now. That was it, the final call. Non-negotiable, really. It meant the money's been spent, the animals are cooked, the wine is poured, and importantly, the host's honor. It's on the line now, publicly.
So the expectation is clear. The guests, these probably elite guests who accepted initially, they now drop absolutely everything and come, period.
That's the deal. But that's not what happens, is it?
No. Instead of dropping everything, they kind of drop the invitation. We get these three very specific excuses.
Yeah.
And they're just incredible because of how mundane they are. So every day.
Utterly mundane. Let's list them.
Okay, first one. I have bought a field, and I must go out and see it. Please excuse me.
Right. Let's go see the field now.
Second one. I have bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I am going to examine them. Please excuse me.
Again, the timing feels off.
Definitely off. And the third one, even more personal maybe, but just as final.
Yeah, just. I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. Brief. To the point.
No, please excuse me on that one either. Just can't make it.
So what's fascinating, as you said, is these aren't crises, right? They're not emergencies.
Not at all. Nobody's saying, my house is on fire or my kid just fell down a well.
Right.
Yeah.
Standard stuff. Buying property, checking your livestock, getting married. Big life events, sure, but totally foreseeable. These are things you plan around. Real estate deals, buying expensive animals, weddings. These don't just happen spontaneously at 6 p.m.
Okay, but hang on. Let's push back a bit.
No.
If you just bought 5 yoke of oxen, that's 10 animals, a big investment wouldn't. You need to check them, make sure they're sound, that you weren't cheated. Isn't that actually quite responsible? Why is the host so mad?
And that's where let's say, the cultural nuance in the source material really bites. Their failure wasn't like a moral failing in the sense of doing something inherently evil.
Okay.
It was, you could say, an administrative failure, but one with huge social consequences, a massive failure of honor and, crucially, of priority.
How so?
By waiting until the servant is literally at the door saying, dinner is served, to suddenly remember, oh, right, the field inspection, or oops, gotta check those oxen. They signal two really insulting things. First, this massive, generous banquet. It was never important enough for them to actually schedule their day around it. It was an afterthought. And second, they placed a necessary, yes, but ultimately minor transaction, checking the goods, seeing the land above the host's incredible generosity, and maybe more importantly, the honor of his friendship implied by the invitation.
Wow. Okay. So it wasn't really saying no to the feast itself.
Not directly.
It was saying not right now. And in that specific context, that not right now was the killer mistake, the fatal flaw.
Precisely. It's like, imagine getting invited to your best friend's wedding months in advance. You RSVP, yes. Then, on the wedding day, as the ceremony starts, you text them, Sorry, just realized I need to sort my recycling. Can't make it.
Yeah, okay, that would not go over well. That's a friendship ender.
Exactly. They treated this huge honor-bound invitation like it was just, a maybe, a placeholder they could ditch the second something slightly more profitable or even just more convenient for them popped up.
And that perceived contempt, that's slight.
Yeah.
That's what ignites the host's reaction.
Leads directly to it. The pivotal moment, the emotional core shifts right here.
Which is just immediate rage. The servant comes back, relays these, frankly, pretty lame excuses, and the text just says, quite plainly, the master of the house became angry. But thinking about it, wouldn't a host normally just be disappointed, resigned, maybe?
Yeah.
Why immediate fury? What was the specific trigger for that level of anger?
I think it's the public nature of the insult. These banquets, especially big ones, weren't just quiet little dinners. They were social contracts. They were ways to show status, build alliances, maintain connections.
Right, a display.
A very significant display. The host has gone to massive expense. He's put his reputation out there. And when the invited elite, the people whose presence confirms his status, fail to show up, it's public humiliation.
So it's not just rude, it's shameful for the host.
Deeply shameful. And their trivial excuses just rub salt in the wound. It makes it absolutely clear they think his big event, his generosity, his friendship, it's worth less than checking some oxen or pacing out a field.
That kind of offense. Okay, I can see how that demands a response. A radical one.
An immediate and radical response. And that intensity flows directly into the next command, which is, let's be honest, maybe the craziest part of the story.
A guest list gets completely flipped. Instantly.
Totally. The master tells the servant, go out quickly. Notice the urgency again, to the streets and lanes of the city, and bring in the poor and crippled and blind and lame.
Wow.
This is a social earthquake. It would have been genuinely scandalous, maybe even offensive, to the original audience Jesus was speaking to.
Why offensive? Generous maybe, but offensive.
Because of how banquets worked back then. It was all about reciprocity. You invited people who could invite you back, people who boosted your social standing, people on your level or maybe slightly above.
Okay, networking, basically.
Pretty much status building. But by inviting the poor, the crippled, the blind, the lame, these are people who are often socially invisible, marginalized. And crucially, they had absolutely zero capacity to repay the favor. They couldn't host him back.
I see. So he's not just replacing guests.
He's destroying the entire social function of the banquet as understood by the elite. He's breaking the rules of reciprocity.
He's making it purely about his own generosity.
Exactly. It's now only about his desire to give, completely cutting out the elite who scorned him and their whole system of mutual back-scratching.
So the banquet is no longer about status or who you know. It's just open. Open to anyone who actually responds to the invitation, no matter their social rank or ability to pay back.
Right. It hinges entirely on the response now, not the resume.
And the servant, well, he does it. He goes out into the city streets and lanes, rounds up these marginalized folks, and brings them in. Seems successful.
Yep. Initial run, mission accomplished. The marginalized from within the city are now at the table. But the story isn't over.
No, because the servant reports back again. And this is a key moment, isn't it? He says, "Sir, what you commanded has been done, and still there is room."
Still there is room. That line changes everything.
How so? What's the shift?
The focus shifts. It's no longer just about replacing the guests who snubbed him, or even about including the marginalized from the city. The problem now is the empty seats themselves.
The empty space is the issue.
The empty space is an offense. It implies the host's generosity, this massive feast he prepared, hasn't been fully received. It's like the feast itself is being slighted by the emptiness.
So the absolute, non-negotiable priority becomes filling the house. Every single seat must be filled. The host's primary goal now is ensuring his generosity is fully accepted, fully utilized, nothing wasted.
Precisely. The empty seat is an affront to the preparations, to the abundance. It just cannot stand.
And this leads to the final command, the one that really gets you thinking. He sends the servant out again. But this time, not just in the city.
No, further afield, way out. Go out to the highways and hedges.
Highways and hedges, who's out there?
Think, the absolute outsiders. Travelers passing through. Maybe vagrants, people living rough, the truly destitute. People with no connection to the city, let alone to this rich man's house. The furthest removed.
Okay. And the command isn't just invite them.
No, it's stronger.
Yep.
Much stronger. Compel people to come in that my house may be filled.
Compel. That word just jumped out, doesn't it? Sounds forceful.
It does. And we really need to unpack that. What does compel mean here?
Yeah, because it raises questions. Is he saying drag them in? Use force.
Probably not physical force. Think less manhandling and more. Insist with extreme urgency, like overcome their resistance through sheer persistence and persuasion.
Okay, so why would these people be resistant?
Imagine you're someone living on the margins, maybe sleeping rough by the roadside. A servant from a rich estate comes and says, "My master insists you come to his great banquet right now." You'd likely feel, well, several things.
Yeah, suspicious, scared, ashamed maybe, like you don't belong.
Exactly. Intense shame, fear, a deep sense of unworthiness. Me, at his table, impossible, it's a trick, or I'm not dressed right, I'll embarrass him. All that internal resistance.
So compel means the servant has to break through that.
Yes. The master is essentially telling the servant, don't take no for an answer. Argue with them, reassure them, convince them that this invitation is real, that it includes them, that my master genuinely wants them there. Overcome their reluctance, their shyness, their feeling of not belonging, because I am absolutely determined that every single seat in this house will be filled.
Wow. That's an incredible level of insistence.
It really is. It shows the host's boundless persistence, his unstoppable desire for his feast to be enjoyed.
But notice, and this seems crucial, where is that persistence aimed?
Not at the original guest.
I know. He's not sending the servant back to the elite saying, please reconsider, or are you sure about those oxen?
No, that door is shut, firmly. His energy, his urgency, his compulsion, it's all directed towards the most reluctant, the most marginalized, the ones who feel they have no right to be there.
That's a powerful contrast.
It is, and then the parable just slams shut with this final, quite severe decree from the master directly about those first guests.
The ones who made the excuses.
Yes. He says, "For I tell you, none of those men who were invited shall taste my banquet."
Oof. Final. Absolute.
Utterly final. It just underscores their self-exclusion. They weren't kicked out for being inherently bad.
No, it was about their choice in that moment.
Exactly. The door is slammed shut because they prioritize the field, the oxen, the wedding plans, the necessary but ultimately mundane stuff over the unique, prepared, celebratory opportunity of the feast itself. They miss the window.
So if we try to pull this together, connect it to the bigger picture, what's the knowledge nugget here?
I think it's crystal clear. The opportunity, the invitation to the great banquet, whatever that represents, it's finite. There's a now ready moment.
Right. And the source material shows the real danger isn't actually being unworthy. Because look who gets in.
Exactly. The master actively seeks out and welcomes the poor, the crippled, the blind, the lame. Unworthiness isn't the ultimate barrier here.
So the real danger is
what?
Complacency, distraction.
It's having the door shut in your face because you were too busy. Too preoccupied with a necessary, maybe, but ultimately minor transaction. You prioritize the convenience of everyday life, the checking of the oxen.
Over the transcendent invitation.
Yeah.
The prepared celebration.
That's the tragedy outlined here. Missing the feast because you were inspecting the groceries.
So, thinking about this for you, the listener, the learner, this parable really lands as a powerful commentary on priorities, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The first group failed because they got bogged down in the merely necessary, the urgent, but not ultimately important. And in doing so, they completely missed the critical invitation, the main event.
They were managing their assets when they should have been celebrating the relationship.
Well put. So the question this material forces us to ask ourselves is pretty profound, I think.
Which is?
What prepared feast or great opportunity is currently on offer in your life? It could be a calling, a commitment, a relationship, a generous invitation from God or others that you're currently making excuses for. Are you metaphorically inspecting your oxen, checking your field, sorting out practicalities, while the dinner bell is ringing loud and clear?
Are we letting the urgent crowd out the important?
That's the core question, and it leaves us with this final, maybe provocative thought to chew on.
Okay.
The greatest effort, the most intense urgency, the compulsion in this whole story. It's all reserved for convincing the reluctant, the shy, the ones who feel unworthy, to actually accept the gift.
That's true. He fights hardest for the hesitant.
So if the host in the story is willing to go to such lengths to compel the unwilling, who or what is compelling you right now to receive the prepared blessings, the waiting feast that maybe you feel you don't quite deserve?
Something to definitely think about. What invitation are we putting off?
What feast are we missing?
Think about that. We'll be back for another deep dive soon.